Hey there, this video is going to be to show you how to take the online TABE locator. So this is a test that we need from our students to see how GED ready you are, and also to see kind of what level you're at in the various subjects you're going to be studying. This gives us a lot of information and can help us make a plan for you to help you know what to study. Because obviously students can be at a various amount of levels in their readiness and what they know, because we serve a lot of different people, right? So we need to have an idea of where you are in your academic readiness. Okay, so that's the whole purpose of this test, is to give us an idea of where you are. So we're going to be using something called the Online Tools Training, and you can have access to this too if you ask your instructor. This is just a platform where people can go in and practice taking the TABE test. It's not an actual test, it's just a place where people can practice and get used to the platform. Okay, so we're going to click that, and we'll start with reading, and we may come back to math so that I can show you the online calculator. I'm going to do level M, standard. Okay, so this is what you'll see when you are ready to log in. So this one, obviously, it has a username and password for us because this is a practice platform. When you take your own online locator, the real one, you will get your username and password from your instructor. They will email it to you or send it to you on a Facebook message. They may call you and tell it to you, something like that. So you'll have to have your own unique username and password in order to take this test. So we just put the username in the username place, password in the password place, click sign in. And this is what you'll see when it first starts. So you just hit continue. Now when you're taking your locator, you may see 2 or 3 different tests here. You may see a reading, a math, and a language. You may just see a reading and a math. Just depends on what your instructor wants to give you. Okay, so just click this to start it. And then the first couple screens, it'll have some information that you'll need to read through so that you know what all the buttons mean. It does an overview of the buttons for you. Your little controls down here. And probably the most important one, just telling you what the next and back buttons do. The most important one is this right here with the 3 circles. So if you see these 3 circles, these 3 gray circles, that tells us that your computer is A-okay to take the test on. Okay, you have all of the functionality and little processors and little computer things that you need to take this test. That's above what I know about computers. All I know is if you don't see these 3 circles for some reason, then your computer is not optimal to take the test on. So you'll have to find something else. Luckily for you guys, KEDC has Google Chromebooks that we can loan out to take the test on. So if for some reason you don't see these 3 circles, don't be discouraged. Just contact your instructor and we can give you a Chromebook to take this test on. Okay? So assuming that we can see the circles, because we can, you're going to hit begin the test and then the test will start. Okay, so this is what you'll see when you take the reading test. You have your text over here on the left side. And if you just scroll down, you can see the whole passage. Scroll back up. Okay, you have your question over here. You'll see just one question at a time. You may have, 5 or 6 questions per text or less than that. So if we click next down here, we see that the text stayed the same, but the question changed. And it tells us up here what question we're on. Okay, you have your timer up here. All of your tests will be timed, and they have different amounts of time for each different test. Once it clicks onto all zeros, the test will automatically end and it will score what you have already answered. Okay. So down here on the bottom, there's a pause feature. It'll pause that timer for you. You can flag a question. It's really handy for test taking strategies. Say you're having a really hard time with a question. You don't want to spend a lot of time on it. You don't want to waste your time. We have to use our time efficiently, right? So it's a good strategy to maybe skip one and then come back to it, you know, so you can answer some more questions and get some points without wasting a whole lot of time on one question. So we're going to flag this one, and then I'll show you later what that looks like and how we can come back to it. You don't have to flag them, but it's a good thing to do. We also have this options button, and this can change the way that you see the screen. So if we hit color choices, you can change the background color. Okay, so I'm going to choose yellow. Some of the other options, contrasting color. You can change, you know, the background color and the text color if it's easier on your eyes. Sometimes people have trouble seeing black text on a white background, so you can play around with this to see what works for you. I'm actually going to stick with that, I think. Reverse contrast, just more options. Okay. So we want you to be the most comfortable that you can. This little mask thing, you can actually drag this somewhere. Like some people are nervous about this timer, so you can drag that to kind of hide that if you want to. Okay. I wouldn't recommend keeping it there the whole time because you do need to be aware of how much time you have left. But this helps some people that have a really hard time and have a lot of test anxiety having a timer there in front of their face. Alright, so those are all of your options that you have. You can play around with those. Don't spend a lot of time on that though, because you have to make good use of your time. Now up here on the top, we have a cross off option. So if you click that, you can help yourself eliminate some choices. So if I know it's not A and if I know it's not D, I can, you know, use process of elimination to help myself. Click on them again to make them go away. And if you want to use another tool, you'll have to click on that to deactivate it. We have a highlight tool. Click use highlighter. So if you want to highlight some important, you'll have to hold your mouse button down and drag, and you can highlight however much or however little you want. Okay. And if you notice, if you scroll, those highlights stay in exactly the same place, which is pretty cool. Click the highlighter again to clear everything off. You've got a sticky note if you want to make some notes for yourself. So I've clicked it and nothing happened, right? But if you see over here, I can click and here's my sticky note. So if I want to take some notes, I can say paragraph 1, super important. If I want to just remind myself to go back to paragraph 1. And then you can just hit the X if you want to get rid of it. Okay. Hide sticky note. We've got this magnifier here, so if you are having a hard time seeing the text, if you forgot your readers or whatever, you can click these two options and boom, it'll make the text a lot bigger for you. Okay, so that may make it a lot easier for you if you have a hard time seeing the text. And then just click it again and click off and it'll go back to normal. This one right here is a line guide, and it provides you with a line that you can use just to make things a little bit easier to read if you have a hard time reading big paragraphs all at one time. So it just keeps yourself kind of organized as you read. Or if you have a line that you want to remember, you can put the line there and then it'll stay there and you can come back to it. So click it to make it go away. Now to the important part. To answer a question, all you have to do is click the letter and then click next if that's what you want to keep. If you change your mind, you can just click a different letter and it'll change for you. hit next, and it saves. So we're just going to go through here and click some answers. You see here sometimes a question you may have to scroll down to see all the information. Oh, I forgot to answer that one, so I can just go back and answer it. Also, up here you see where the question is in this little drop down box. You can see how many questions you have left if you are trying to manage your time to see how you need to pace yourself. Let's flag this one so we can come back to it. Option A. You've got an enlarge button. If you have a graph or something you need to see, just click enlarge and it'll make it a little bigger. Now this one has a part A and a part B. This is all one question, but there's two different parts to it. And usually part A, your answer to part A directly affects whatever you're going to say for part B. So you see here part B says which sentence best supports the answer to part A. So you may have to go back and read what you put in order to answer part B. So this is a selection. So I just click whichever one I feel like answers supports part A. So click next. And this is the review screen. Okay, so this is what you'll see at the end of your test. It has a check mark for each one that you did answer, but we also see our flags here. So we can just click this and it'll take us right back to question 5 that we have flagged, and we can spend a little bit more time on it. So maybe I want to change my answer. If I feel good about that, I can unflag it. And then instead of clicking all the way back through, hitting next a bunch of times, I can just go back to this review button. Okay, and it takes me right back to that list of questions, and I can hit my first one that I flagged, change it, unflag it, go back to the review screen. If I'm totally finished, I will hit end test, and it'll ask me one more time if I'm sure. If I'm not sure, I can return to review, return to the questions, and click through. But if I am sure, just end test, submit, and it'll submit everything to scoring. Now let's see if I can make it back. I think I'll have to do this all over again. So we'll hit exit. Oh, okay, we'll hit back. And I want to be sure to show you on math the tools that you have. Oh, we have a different username for this one. Math mock test 1, 2, 3, 4. Continue. Math level M. The same front matter as the other tests. It just tells you what all the buttons are there for, and there's our 3 circles, so we're good to go. Begin the test. And you see some different things up here that we can use, and it looks a little different. We don't have a big text on the left side, we just have this question. So here it asks us what each of these are for. Okay, so we just hit the calculator, and there's the calculator. You can just click your buttons. There it is over here. Plus 30 equals 88. You can clear if you make a mistake. Just hit that back button. Just a simple 4-function calculator. And down here is if you have a negative number, you can click that to make it negative. Okay. And here is your formula page. You may need some formulas for your test, especially for geometry questions or to convert some things. So you can click that to see the information that you need to solve the problem. And of course we have all the same options as the reading test. You can play with the color, you can zoom in, you can do all those things as well. Let me see if there's anything else I need to tell you about. Oh, Some questions say select all that apply. So there may be more than one right answer. This is on all the tests. So you need to pay special attention to your questions to see if you have a question, you need to select more than one right answer. Okay, so I believe that's it. We're going to end the test. I didn't answer anything, so that will not be a great score. Just some other notes. You cannot use a cell phone in any way on these tests, so you'll have to put that away. You may like that calculator better, but you need to use the one that is provided on the screen for you. And I think that's pretty much all you need to know. The link for the actual locator is something that your instructor will send you in an email or a message. So this whole training, this whole link here is something totally different than the actual link where you'll take your test. So just pay attention to what your instructor tells you, follow instructions, and it will look exactly like what we just completed. Okay, if you have questions, please contact your instructor. They will help you in any way they know how. And another note as well, there is a set of instructions for students if you just prefer to kind of read through things. If you're nervous and you just want to make sure you're doing all the right things. And all those instructions are right here in a PDF, and this is something your instructor can send you as well. Okay, so I hope that helps you in your journey to take your locator test, and good luck as you take your test.